Swiss Army Man is a 2016 indie comedy about a man stranded on an island. He befriends a dead body that washes ashore, and together they go on a surreal adventure to get home. The movie opens with shots of the ocean and paper boats floating by with handwritten messages on them. The viewer can assume its author is lost at sea. The following scene is of our main character Hank, stranded on an island and trying to hang himself. Right as he was about to jump, he saw the body of a man wash on shore. As Hank was performing CPR on the body, it started to animate itself as if by magic. The dead body became a motor that Hank used as a rescue boat to drive to the mainland, where he is gifted by the ocean with a bag of Cheetos. Hank stands up, proclaiming his full name and that he was lost at sea all alone, but this dead man saved him. Hank then straps the dead man named Manny to his back and starts his journey through the forest. With Manny, Hank sets up camp in a shallow recession. Aside from the bag of chips, he still doesn't have food or water. When it starts to rain, Hank collects the water in a cup and goes to bed. In the meantime, Manny is on his back with his mouth open, collecting rainwater also. In the morning, Hank accidentally knocked the water over while chasing a raccoon. Dejected, Hank leans up against Manny's chest. Manny then spews water from his mouth, giving Hank all the water he needed. Aside from the obvious, what is the symbolic reason for Hank being lost at sea? Based off my first 3 videos, you can safely assume what I'm going to say. Hank stranded on an island is symbolic for him being stuck under maritime law. I will prove this point throughout the entirety of this video. If you remember my video about maritime and admiralty law, I stated that your birth certificate was used to create a public version of yourself so that you can lawfully operate within the public corporatized government, and that by doing this, the state now recognizes you as non-living and a corporation. The word corporation itself has its roots in the word corpse. The names of the dead and non-living are always distinguished in the way they're written. When a person dies, their name is now spelled with all capital letters to distinguish the fact that they're no longer with us. When a corporation's name is trademarked, it is then recognized as a corporate person. But because it's not alive, it must be differentiated from the living, and so it's written with all capital letters as well. Non-living entities are distinguished by their all capital letter name. This public corporatized version of your name is called a strawman. When your name is in upper and lowercase letters, it symbolizes that you're a living being and not a corporate entity. Knowing this, we can take another look at Manny. Manny is a dead man dressed in a business suit, and he was found washed up from the ocean. Hank then uses Manny to propel him from the tiny island to the mainland. Manny being a corpse in a business suit is symbolic for him being a corporation, and therefore Hank's strawman. Hank uses him as a transmitting utility, taking Hank from point A to point B. This is like the all-capital letter strawman from our birth certificate, taking us and our property from private common law to public admiralty maritime law. As the two were walking, Hank stepped in bear scat and heard the animal rustling nearby, and Manny shouted. Hank then tried to hush Manny, but Manny replied loudly that he wasn't good at controlling his voice, and Hank had to teach him how. Bears are large predators who can take a grown man down with little effort. Because of their size, ferocity, and strength, bears are a common symbol for economy and government. For example, Wall Street has the phrase bull versus bear market, the bull being Taurus, symbolizing the spring season and prosperity, and the bear symbolizing a slump in the economy, like bare naked or bare in. There's nothing left. After hearing the bear in the distance, Hank slipped and the two of them fell into an even deeper recession. Manny landed next to Hank's phone and they were both stuck at the bottom, again without food, but this time they had water. Hank then took the phone away from Manny and Manny said, "Hey, that's mine." Replying, Hank said, "I know, but you can't have it right now." Hank is always in a recession when he is lacking necessities. This fall in prosperity after hearing the bear symbolizes economic recessions, which is why Hank took Manny's phone away from him. This is what the raccoon symbolized as well. Raccoons often symbolize bandits and thieves. Hank was in a shallow recession and didn't lose the water he collected until the raccoon came into camp. Like the 2 other times before, Hank learns to use Manny, and they climb out of the recession. With his newfound confidence in Manny's ability to provide, Hank uses him to hunt for food, chop wood, start fires, and help him get what he needs in order to survive. Manny's ability to give Hank what he needs is symbolic for the potential gifts our straw man has to offer us. When we consented to using a straw man, we allowed public corporate entities to have access to our once private property, which is protected under common law in Article 31 of the Lieber Code. Manny, and likewise our straw man, is a transmitting utility, bringing things from point A to point B, from private to public. But once in the public realm, we can learn the public rules and help gain an upper hand in the game of commerce. Those who choose to take this route will become a secure creditor. After Hank climbs out of the recession, he and Manny continue their quest through the forest, trying to find home. They come to a small clearing where they set up camp for the night. Hank walks a short distance away to relieve himself when he saw a road with passing cars. He was saved. He went back to get Manny when the two of them were confronted by the bear again. Hank tried to physically fight the bear, but it didn't work, only making the bear angrier, and it attacked Hank, dragging him back to the forest, back to being lost and stuck under Admiralty. Finally, Hank surrendered, becoming peaceful and resigning himself. Looking on, Manny said, "It looks like you're really going to die now. It feels like it's my fault." When Hank finally stopped fighting, Manny animated himself, rescuing Hank from the bear and carrying him back home. One cannot fight this system with physical force. That would be an act of war, which won't end well for any of us. But we do have one advantage, that being our straw man. The laws which are used to bind us can be used to set us free as well. Thy enemy is thy remedy. Hank and Manny arrived in the backyard of a local neighbor, who then called the police and paramedics. They came along with Hank's father and the media. Hank then took Manny and ran back through the forest and to the ocean with everybody following behind them. Hank knelt beside Manny next to the sea, saying, "I did it," leading everyone to conclude that Hank murdered Manny. They were all angry and disgusted by him, and he was arrested. But then Manny started to animate himself again, this time for everyone to see. With curiosity and amazement, the police officer uncuffed Hank, and Hank went to Manny and placed him back in the ocean, where Manny smiled and drove away. Those who do not yet know of these laws, acts, and codes may feel that using your straw man to lawfully protect oneself and property is wrong, abusing the social system, or outright stealing. This is why Hank was arrested and everyone was angry and disgusted by him. However, once he showed the others who Manny was, they realized what he meant. When Hank said he did it, he wasn't confessing to a crime. He was saying he figured out the law. After Manny sped off into the ocean, the others began to take a second look at their straw man as well. Earlier in the movie, Hank says that Manny is a genetically engineered soldier sent back in time to save all of mankind. I don't know if our straw man was sent back in time, but I do know that it was created in the 1930s, and it wasn't until the 80s that these laws were found out and the secure creditor movement was born, gaining support and popularity throughout the years to come. A second example of the straw man in film can be found in the show Portlandia, Season 2, Episode 4. The scene is of two overachieving parents who have created a chart for their son Grover's path to success. The mother makes a note of saying, "By the way, we've trademarked your name, Grover, TM." When Hank set Manny back into the ocean, this was symbolizing being back under common law. One wouldn't need a strawman anymore, and can let it go back to the tidal seas where it belongs. I would like to thank everyone for watching, and take care. Love and light.